Are you happy, Twilight? You made vampires so dumb that making them scary again is almost impossible. Salem's Lot is one of those classic stories that made me into an introvert because you never know who a vampire is, so it's not safe to invite anybody into your house. Yeah. So it's a classic Stephen King book, which has been adapted, and it was the first Stephen King book I ever read, I think. That scene where the kid floats up to the other kid's window and he's like, "Let me in." That was the first time I realized books could be fucking scary. So Ben Mears is your classic Stephen King protagonist. He's a middle-aged author who isn't particularly attractive, yet every woman is insanely attracted to him. It's called projecting. Anyway, he returns to a town that he left when his parents were killed there years and years ago, finds the first warm female body he can to sleep with, and then just chills with her for a while the town is slowly overrun by vampires stemming from the arrival of a mysterious European figure. You can't write this. The problem with classics is that they often end up feeling simplified and outdated when you redo them after many years because so many things have copied them in the interim. I say the interim, this has only been miniseries, this one. They've never actually done it as a film. It does kind of feel a bit like a miniseries in some ways. The actors aren't really top ones. It doesn't meander, but it's got a slower sort of pacing. I really enjoyed all that about it, but it does feel, and a slightly lower budget maybe too, which, yeah, made it feel like it wasn't a big movie release, but it did feel like a solid version of this story. I was quite interested to see it because it's been a while since we saw one of these on film, you know? And we are also about to get that new Nosferatu remake. Has Twilight worn off? What We Do in the Shadows is finished airing. Have we come full circle with vampires? Can they be horror again? So you have adult murdering child, child murdering child, adult murdering adult, all kinds of murder. You also have crosses that glow when vampires are nearby, like Sting, the sword from Lord of the Rings with orcs. Yeah. And apart from that, I don't want to shit on Stephen King here, but let's not forget that there's this creepy European figure. He's got his assistant, and then the people facing up against this vampire include a couple and a professor. Like, it's not an exact copy, but Stephen King did come up with this book by going, "Hey, what would happen if Dracula was in 20th century America?" And his wife said, "Well, he'd get run over by a cab in New York." So he was like, "Okay, I won't set it in New York then." And then wrote the book. But having said that, this book on its own managed to inspire so much of the horror genre. Fright Night, notably. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, The Lost Boys, these have all cited this as inspiration, and that is both a blessing and a curse for trying to make this into a film now. This film is absolutely savage at times. The story is as well, so it kind of fits. I feel like there is some inconsistency to like the writing of the characters, because Ben feels quite realistic in a lot of ways. The main kid does not. He's fine, I like him well enough, but yeah, they made him like ultimate vampire killing machine kid out of nowhere for no reason. It's not really how he was in the books. It came off a little kooky, and there are some things about this that felt a little silly, a little outdated, but honestly, not all in a bad way. And I went into this ready to enjoy it, ready to like it, ready to have a good time, and I did. And that's the most important thing. I do feel like it did enough to justify its own existence, which you can't say for many horror movies these days, and especially not many Stephen King adaptations, ever. I like the pacing, I like the characters mostly. The big problem is the ending. There's some really great individual scenes, the treehouse scene, the drive-in cinema scene where they're fighting and the sun is moving along, it's disappearing. Awesome. However, the finale, the final fight, was quite let down, I will say. The last sort of 10 minutes were really making me go, "Oh, that's it? Is that it? No, that's not it. That's not. Oh, that's it. Oh." So, as much as a lot of the ways that they kept this simple really worked throughout, there were some elements of just keep it simple that made me go, "Oh, okay." And that's a bit of a shame. That's a bit of a note to end on. But I did enjoy it, and I'm giving Vamps Are Back alright 3 stars. I think there are better Stephen King adaptations, but his stories are holding up pretty well for having been mostly written like the 70s and 80s. Better than most like 70s and 80s horror movies, honestly. Hold up. Yeah.